Strategic patience has been the approach of the last American administration and beyond. For more than 2 decades, the United States and our allies have worked to peacefully dismantle North Korea's nuclear program and alleviate the suffering of their people. But at every step of the way, North Korea answered our overtures with willful deception, broken promises, and nuclear and missile tests. Over the past 18 months, North Korea has conducted 2 unlawful nuclear tests and an unprecedented number of ballistic missile tests, even conducting a failed missile launch as I traveled here for this visit. The era of strategic patience is over.
That's Vice President Mike Pence insisting all options are on the table when it comes to North Korea and its effort to develop nuclear weapons. The Vice President is in South Korea right now, part of a tour to engage U.S. allies in the Asian Pacific. He says this month's actions in Syria and Afghanistan are evidence of U.S. resolve. Let's bring in Michael Singh, former Senior Director of Middle Eastern Affairs with the National Security Council and Managing Director of the Washington Institute. I want to get your take on the level of tensions right now, Michael, because some observers say it is as tense as it's ever been between North Korea and the United States. Is that the case, or is it that the Trump administration is simply drawing new attention to the relationship?
Well, the level of tension is very high, John, and it's not really because the U.S. has suddenly decided to make this an issue or suddenly decided it's important. It's really because of the advances that North Korea itself has made. We've seen really an unprecedented rapidity of missile launches and missile tests by North Korea, and it looks like they're on the verge both of a 6th nuclear test since 2006, as well as potentially trying to test an intercontinental ballistic missile, an ICBM. And when you put those 2 things together, it poses a real risk, a real threat to the United States. Because
they would then presumably have the capability to reach American cities with a nuclear device.
That's right. They would at least in theory have that capability. And what we've seen from North Korea is not just that they're trying to reach this capability in theory, but that they're really trying to develop a sort of a missile force and a military which could fight a real war, could fight a real conflict. And so there is concern that this would be a capability they'd try to make a usable capability in a sense.
The President's National Security Advisor, H.R. McMaster, was on one of the Sunday shows over the weekend. He said, "It's time for us to undertake all actions we can short of the military option to try to resolve this peacefully." Sounding like a military attack is off the table, at least for now. Do you read it that way?
Well, it certainly sounded that way. It sounded like what he was trying to do there was to stress that, yes, we're focused on this issue, but also calm what had been some rumors about preemptive strikes and so forth, because obviously it's a very unstable, fragile situation there around the Korean Peninsula, and the United States doesn't want to stoke that or somehow bring it to collapse. But frankly, when you look at those other options, John, you're looking at sanctions, you're looking at diplomacy, you're looking at some other tools we have, and they look a lot like the options we've already used in the past. That's the challenge.
Yeah, the President is leaning on China to help, but North Korea has thumbed its nose at China in the past, has it not?
Well, you have sort of 2 problems there, John. One is that China really, I think, worries more about instability on the Korean Peninsula, even about the possibility of war between North Korea and the United States, more than it does about denuclearization of North Korea. And so I think what China would want to do is to cooperate just enough to try to get sort of the United States and North Korea back to the table. And then second, this nuclear program is just so important to North Korea that even heavy Chinese pressure is not likely to prove a silver bullet in solving it.
Especially after 6 nuclear tests in 11 years. Michael Singh from the Washington Institute. Michael, thank you.
Thank you, John.